Howdy, Sax Geeks. Andy Voelker here, the Saxophone Geek out of the greater Boston area. Thanks for watching this video and all the other videos. Thanks for subscribing. Like, share, subscribe, share to your favorite saxophone pages and the various social medias and Instagrams and all the things. And we're going to play a mouthpiece today. Now, my current vibe is the metal auto link that I had refaced. It's a Florida. It says USA on it if you keep it score at home. I don't really care. It's just an older one. And this reed is the reed I'm going to use. I don't have any other good reeds. In the winter, man, reeds are so terrible. You guys probably know, especially if you live in the deciduous north like we do, where we have major season changes, and it's been a really tough couple of weeks with the weather back and forth. This is the only good reed I have right now, and here's a little control of what it sounds like on my current setup. Yeah, this reed is kind of done, but I don't have any other good ones, so we're going to play this one today. I was teaching earlier, and the reed I had on there, I was talking to the student for a few minutes, and it dried out and warped so fast, I literally couldn't play a note. It was hilarious. That really doesn't happen very often, but it happened today. It's feeling kind of soft, and I have to back off of it a little bit. But that's okay. I think it's going to get us through what we're doing today. Today what we're looking at is a mouthpiece I'm playing for a friend of mine who had this refaced. This is a long Shank Soloist. And I'll take some pictures, and I'll show you the difference between these. Bill sent it to me with a cool mouthpiece and a ligature and cap that I don't get to keep, and I don't know if I'll keep this mouthpiece, but this is a long Shank Soloist. It's an earlier Soloist where it still has the scroll, handwritten almost thing. The later mouthpieces have the regular Selmer logo, like you see on the horns, okay? But this has the scrolly version, and that's how you can tell it's really the Soloist era. After that, they were just Selmer mouthpieces. This no longer says Soloist on it, although it used to. This was refaced to the extent that was buffed away by the refacing process, down so far as that you could see the flat part of the table actually extends in to the shank, and that happens sometimes with these mouthpieces. So I'm going to throw my reed on there, and we'll give it a play, and then we'll give it a play with this reed some of my other soloists, and I'll show you the difference between them. Stay tuned. If you've never played a soloist before and are thinking about it, a couple of things to check out. This is the short shank soloist, and this is the long shank soloist. And you can see they made the mouthpiece a little bit longer. Without really too much comparison, I would say that the body of this is thinner than the body of the short shank version. They both, however, have the, hard to show you, they both have the horseshoe-shaped chamber, as you can kind of see. Boy, it's hard to do on camera. And you could, of course, scrutinize, and with this one is smaller than the other. I don't know. It doesn't matter that much. They're all going to play different anyway. One thing I notice is that already putting this short shank mouthpiece on, it fits pretty good on the cork, whereas this one, the short shank, is really loose on the cork, so I have to use a piece of paper with these to get it to line up okay. But this one, they seem to have efforted that problem, because this fits pretty good on that cork right there, which is really actually very nice. So I'm going to grab my ligature. I don't know, this might not even fit on here. Again, these mouthpieces are sort of a different width. And yeah, that might not actually fit with my reed, and we might have to use Bill's ligature, which means that we're not really getting an accurate comparison, but we're not going to get a very accurate comparison anyway. My ligature kind of fits on there. Kind of. So let's get this reed lined up and give this mouthpiece a play, and then we'll try my other soloists. I have 3 other of the short shank soloists, which is right here. I have 3 of these to try. And here is the long shank soloist. It's interesting. Again, we got kind of a dull, older reed. I can't really test if I'm in tune because I'm using the camera from the phone. I feel like it's a little flat, actually. All right, let's try one of the other soloists. All right, as you can see, my trick to make the big soloists, for lack of a better term, fit on the neck, it has to do with the diameter that is bored out for the shank here. And they take up so much room. They're so big that the Auto Link mouthpiece compresses the cork, and then these mouthpieces don't fit. So I just use a strip of paper, and force of habit, I keep a bunch in the case in order for those reeds to work. Now this is the newest of the soloists. I had this refaced by Adam Nywood recently. I have two other soloists that I've had a little longer, and we're going to go ahead and try this one, and we'll try the other ones too, just because I have them with me. And we'll give a little run on all of these soloists, and then we'll go back to the one that we're trying for the friend Bill. Let's see what this one sounds like. This is Nywood's. They get refaced, and depending on who your refacer is, they all have their own style and their own opinion of how these mouthpieces should be set up. I like a 7 with a fairly short facing. I started as an alto player, and I've played some clarinet, so I like the shorter facings. And for me, the biggest effect the shorter facing has to do with the altissimo. If the facing's too long, my altissimo doesn't come out. So for me, that's a big factor. And Adam is a great refacer, great saxophonist, and he knows how I like these things to be set up, and he does a great job. So this is how this one came out. Nice. Adam went a little darker on this. The other ones that I have, the Peter Scott, I think, did them. I know he did them. Left a little more baffle material. I think Adam thought it was a little too bright, and he took a little out, which is fine. It just takes a little getting used to, because up top in the palm keys, it's a little darker. It doesn't have quite that cut that the other ones do. We'll see if we can show you that. I like those low notes. Let's try one of the other solo. This could push in a little bit. I feel like that's a little flat, but let's try one of the other soloists. So here's my second one. This is the one that Adam adjusted a tiny bit for me on the facing, which was a little not quite accurate for good feeling, and but originally it had been done by Peter Scott, and it was a backup to my primary, which you haven't heard yet. And this one's pretty nice. It's got the earlier scrolling. This is a long, if you want to know more about these and when they were made, etc., Matt Storer, the great repairman, Matthew Storer on YouTube, he has a great video about the soloists and the iterations that they went through. Some people think they know. It's a lot to know, and who cares, right? We do our best here. So this is the other one. Same reed, everything is the same. Push the reed up a tiny bit. Peter's thing is kind of a really, really thin tip rail. So if your reed is a little tiny bit too far back, you get this sort of dullness because it's not touching the tip rail. Maybe that'll be a little better. I rather like that one. As you can hear in the high notes, it's got a little more than the Adams version. Kind of. I don't know. It probably all sounds the same to you because we're crazy. Okay. Now, this is my original soloist, the first soloist I had done. And it's hard to see in the video, but this was played a lot. I played this mouthpiece for probably 10 years when I had it refaced. So it's pretty worn, and I've never had it readjusted. I just let it live its life, you know. I'm not one of these people that has mouthpieces refaced a number of times. I don't really see it that way. So I generally just play them, you know. And refacers, Peter used to say, you know, there's plenty of room in them, and you can always have them adjusted. Believe me, you can always bring them back, but that's not so much I was worried about. What I'm really worried about is the character of the mouthpiece changing a lot. As you can see, between these different soloists, they're very different from each other, even though to the naked eye, they sort of look like this bunch of the same mouthpiece. So you get quite a spread there. Let's hear this one. All right. Same thing. A little bit of a down. To pull that reed up a little bit, push it up a little bit. See if that makes a tiny bit of a difference. Here we go. Yeah, this mouthpiece is still darker and kind of a little fuzzier, something. Nice tone to it, you know. I mean, it's cool. It's a little less bright. Definitely, I would say that. Let's go back to the long shank. We do this in real time, I think. Real time, we're doing it. So I got to start a bunch of new reeds. I have my regular session gig, but I also have the big band at the Monkfish. If you're on Facebook, check out the Boston Jazz Club, the Mad Monkfish. And I'll be live with the big band Sunday night, 7 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. I also play a jam session there. I run the jam there. And that is Friday nights, 10 to 12. I do a set, and you might enjoy hearing that. It's a live stream situation on that Mad Monkfish. So Eastern Standard Time, 10 to 12 on Friday nights. I'm there with a trio, and then we open it up, jam session. So if you dig my playing, check that out. So now we're back to the long shank, and you can see the difference in the shank length and how different that mouthpiece looks compared to this one. And let's give it a little play. Same reed. to like this mouthpiece. Why a long shank? Well, the story, the folklore, is that Joe Henderson always played a short shank. And who knows the history of it, if it was refaced. People said it was a D, which is a really small opening. It's hard to imagine. But if you listen to Joe, he could be playing on a D. I'm not so sure. Nonetheless, in the 70s, he was in a car accident. His car was incinerated, and he lost his horn, and he lost his mouthpiece. This is the story I always heard. And he, in the interim, he played a modern Selmer and then found another Mark VI, and he went through a few of those before he found one like his old horn. And he went to one of these long Shank Soloists, and the record Mirror Mirror, which is a studio album with Chick Corea, and then the live recording Live in Montreux, which is Chick Corea Quartet Live. He's playing on the long shank version of the mouthpiece. Also probably State of the Tenor, that era. And then he later found a short shank, and he found a horn like what his original horn was. So the folklorish kind of thing is that Joe played on one of these. I gotta say, it's pretty bright, it's pretty punchy, it's pretty cool. I kind of like this thing. Pretty cool. Now, that doesn't mean that if you go out and find yourself a long shank soloist that is going to play like that. They need to be set up by someone who knows what they're doing. Most of these mouthpieces, this is a 40-year-old mouthpiece, 50-year-old mouthpiece. So even if it's unplayed, they can warp. Who knows where they were stored? So vintage mouthpieces is something where you need a good relationship with a refacer. You need to know what you want. It's a treacherous situation, I can assure you. But it can be worth it. This thing plays pretty darn good. So I'm going to give this back to Bill and be like, hey, man, I thought it was pretty cool. Dig it. And who knows if we'll keep it or whatever. I have enough soloists. I don't need any more. So that's the vibe. Anyway, Andy Voelker here, the Saxophone Geek. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about the 4 mouthpieces. And there you go. Let me know what you're playing. You ever play a soloist? Do you own one? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Let me know. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.